Hello you, welcome to Geekers, and we're taking a little break from our water park build here in Planet Coaster 2 to take a look at the sci-fi thing. Well, a few things are happening in this video, honestly. One, I really wanted to have a little bit of a study of the lighting in the game. One thing I haven't really looked at. I have a habit of sort of setting the sun to 2 o'clock in the afternoon and leaving it there and never touching it again. And honestly, for a water park, it's actually pretty good because you go into the water park on a lovely sunny day and it's built that way. But a lot of theme parks, you'll often spend the evenings there or even cloudy days there. So lighting is important, and it's something I haven't really played around with in Planet Coaster 2, especially with the new lighting engine, with all the global illumination and all that sort of goodness. We really need to have a look at what is going on. So I thought, what can I build that lets me play around with that and lean into it a little bit? And I thought one of the favourite areas of a theme park I've been to recently that had beautiful lighting was Galaxy's Edge, the Star Wars area of Hollywood Studios in Orlando, Florida. And I thought, well, let's try and do that, because if you remember from a video I did a few days ago showing you how to sort of replicate the Planet Coaster 1 themes in Planet Coaster 2, specifically the Western the Western pirate and fantasy or fairy tale, whatever you want to call it, theme. And I said in that video I didn't want to try and do sci-fi because I really didn't enjoy the sci-fi theme of Planet Coaster 1. I found it to be really blocky and a little boring, really. There was definitely parts of it that were very useful. The tubes I remember being pretty good. The cables were very, very useful. So there's definitely bits in there. That's very much a Planet game. Even if it's a theme you don't like, there's going to be a handful of things that you want to be using from it. Yeah, overall, I didn't really enjoy building with the set. But I did think that it's probably going to be able to do a better version of sci-fi using these pieces here that we're playing around with here in Planet Coaster 2. So a lot of everything in here, some Viking, some mythology. For the most part, though, we're really leaning into the aquatic set to use as the sci-fi detail-y bit, the greebles, or whatever you want to call them. So yeah, it's a lot of fun here trying to replicate Galaxy's Edge. I'm not a huge fan of doing reproductions or replications. What's the word I'm trying to think of? Yeah, I don't like building something that already exists as a copy, like a 1-for-1 ratio, because I get frustrated trying to find something in the game that looks like the thing in real life. And if I'm using it as an homage, I don't mind. Like our water park Planquatica is very heavily sort of very heavily influenced, I guess, by Typhoon Lagoon and Aquatica and Volcano Bay a little bit as well. And I've been having a look at other ones as well that people have been suggesting. Siam Park is beautiful. It's in Tenerife, which is like one of the Canary Islands, and it's incredible. Like, it looks almost not real. It looks almost AI. I've checked it out and it's real, but it has these huge structures, these huge creatures hanging over the slides. I mean, really, go and Google it if you want to see something incredible. Definitely the sort of thing that you could build in this game once you're up to speed. So anyway, using those as all sort of points of reference, but I really don't enjoy the idea of doing a straight up recreation. So again, while I'm sitting here telling you that I'm building Galaxy's Edge here, it's just an homage, a vignette, a little diorama of elements of Galaxy's Edge. The buildings, I hope, are recognizable as buildings from Galaxy's Edge, but yeah, otherwise it's this isn't a certain part of the place. I'm just placing this down to kind of figure it out and have a little look at it and really just keep figuring out these pieces. People keep asking me, how'd you get started on this game? What I can't do this, kind of that. One of the best things you can do, pick something like this, something that you can reference images of, and try and find something that fits, and you will just find it. One of the key things about Star Wars, and something they do really well in Galaxy's Edge, is there's all these little pipes and cables and antenna, lots of antenna in Star Wars. So luckily there's some really great pieces. There's periscope piece here, there's just some plain I think that's like a sign mount, the other one that you can use. Different scale, you can really make some great looking antenna. One thing I was actually very surprised wasn't in the game was cable. We had cables from the Sci-Fi set in Planet Coaster 1, the small a straight one of that was so useful. We used it all the time, and I would love to see them here. So you'll actually see we placed down quite a bit of rope on this build, but really that should be cable. Really, that should be cabling, and at the minute there just isn't really anything. There's one piece of like of metal structural cable, you know, like cable car cable, I guess. I suppose it goes with the little hook that we've got used over there, and yeah, it's fine. It's a useful piece, but really, yeah, those archways of cable is what we're really looking for. So we use rope, and I think it still turns out pretty good. But yeah, so like a nice darker string of cable would be really nice in some of these areas. Here, building a little bit of an archway, and what I'm trying to do, as well as just referencing the pieces, you'll see on the walls there of that circular building and on these archways here, I'm trying to cause like little indents, little alcoves, because I feel like the lighting in this version of the game, in Planet Coaster 2, has got a lot more going for itself, and it's going to look a lot nicer when it's got little areas that it can sort of creep into. And you'll see we keep knocking it back there. Obviously, I'll do you a better look of the whole thing later on. But there's this beautiful light under an archway in the actual Galaxy's edge. Almost looks Art Deco, the one in the place. It's really beautiful light with this little metal caging over it. Struggled a little bit to find something that would replicate it, but in the end, one of those aquatic pieces did pretty good. And I really try and use those aquatic pieces a lot because whilst this is a video about me trying to have a look at lighting, it also is there to kind of say, to kind of play on what we talked about the other day with trying to replicate the original themes, that's really how you're going to get the most out of this game, I feel. If this isn't something you want to do, or you don't feel like you're going to be able to do, that of course is fine. I'm not at all saying that you're wrong for not wanting to do this. Everyone plays games differently. Everyone has a different amount of time and energy and just sort of like mental space to work on this kind of stuff. And if it's not your thing, absolutely don't worry about it. But if it is, if you're the person who's looking at this and thinking, oh, I reckon I could really have a go at doing this kind of stuff, you're right, you can, absolutely. Just having a look at the pieces, looking at them from every angle, both physically and sort of metaphorically, and seeing if you can come up with some other different uses for them. And you can clearly see, the more you do this, you'll see that the developers are doing it for you. They're generating these pieces with a generic element in mind, that yes, this is an aquatic pipe, but it's not got bubbles all over it or waves or anything, you know. It's a pipe that can also now be a sci-fi pipe, and I think that's really important. This one here, this is like an air tank look, but there's no writing on it that says oxygen or anything like that. It's just a nice piece that you can rescale and use here, like I was saying, as part of this antenna system. And it's a conscious decision of the game to keep these pieces both themed and generic, and I am a huge fan of it. And it really, I mean, it's why I spend so many hours in these games. It's why I just really get on with them. Is I love finding these pieces out, turning them upside down, twisting them around, sinking them into the wall, seeing what you can do. I don't even think I'm very good at it, honestly. I will very often settle on one thing and use it forever. There are other people out there who are constantly finding pieces. I shared it out on Twitter, but it's worth, if you don't follow me on Twitter or didn't see the post here, check out Mineral. I'll put a link in the video description here. An awesome creator. He's just started working. Well, he's been in Planet Coaster 2 for a bit, but he's just put a video out at time of recording of a sort of budget water park. But some of the piece usage is incredible. Beams making walls, the little screen mounts scaled up to make benches. He's got a really good eye, or maybe he's just got a lot more patience to sit and go through everything than I have. But just really good eye for using pieces, and it is, the reason I mention that is because it's just my favourite thing to do in the game. And I know that the Theme Maker's Toolkit in Planet Coaster 1 most definitely gave the game a sort of second wind towards the end of its life, and definitely increased the playable longevity of the game. And for the most part, I really did think it was a good feature, and I used it relatively sparingly compared to a lot of people, but did still use it. Did have a lot of fun with using it. But honestly, now seeing Planet Coaster 2 and seeing everybody use the pieces and just constantly seeing screenshots in my own Discord or in Bro Nation or on Twitter and thinking, oh, what have they used there? What piece is that? Genuinely, one of my favorite things in all of video games is just trying to figure out pieces. And yeah, I just want to kind of show you that here then, a mix of the aquatic and, you know, some other bits of generic, you can actually build something I think personally relatively close to Galxy's Edge in Florida. And it's the reason I wanted to bring this to you today is because I feel like it was a theme that this was pretty difficult to do with base game Planet Coaster 1. I think Theme Maker's Toolkit helped a lot because they brought in the decals. But yeah, it's difficult to do grungy in the original Planet Coaster. Everything is very shiny and neat, and it is a little here, honestly. You know, a lot of the pieces are here, but at least now we do have some grungy wall pieces that we can use, and just everything is a lot more textured. You know, just because the graphics are a bit more advanced now, so you get a lot more texture on the pieces, and I think it works out really quite well. I didn't realise that they glow. You don't notice it until the time lapse that these things are glowing. Well, I don't anyway. Place these down just for a bit of fun. I wanted to see. I think they glow in the night. Like I said, the big crux of this video was really seeing what lighting looks like. And all around Galxy's Edge, they have these beautiful red, spiry rocks, sort of reddy brown rocks that I'm very quickly sort of copy with the aquatic rocks here. This isn't really good enough. Again, this is just a vignette build, really. You'll see behind me there we've got the Planet Coaster 1 vignettes. This is going to be one of those parks that I just come to when I have a little idea that I want to try out, a little sort of one-off thing. Not going to be a build, not going to go on the workshop. I'm sorry, I know you always ask, but the back of this is gross. Like, I just don't finish it. It's just built for me to look at and for you to look at and to give you some ideas with the pieces I'm using, how some of the stuff goes together, and yeah, here we go. Then we're going to put some beautiful lights down, and you'll see I just go through a lot of them, place them down, seeing how they flow, seeing how they look, hiding some of them in the rock here to give some nice sort of background stuff there. One of the best things is this little piece here, just a really nice plain light, and we sink it in and move it across there. How Star Wars does that look? I mean, come on, like it's crazy. Just that one thing, I did it, and I was like, I don't think that's not what it looks like in the actual park. But I put that down, and I was like, oh yeah, that's Star Wars, baby, I love it. And then we tried a little bit of uplighting. Interesting that it's like a very hard finish here on the rotated wall, but again, don't think it looks too bad. Struggling a little to sink the lights onto the path like you used to be able to do, just because they're more sort of realistic lights now. It's crazy they don't work as well. But there you go. Nice little look at both lighting and also I think you can build a pretty cool sci-fi themes with the parts that we've got here in Planet Coaster 2. Hope you've enjoyed this one. A little bit of a palette cleanser from the water park. We'll be back in there tomorrow. But thank you so much for watching. I love you all to bits. Till the next one, be good.